Greetings! I'm very excited today to bring you another new tarot deck. Uh, remember last time I shared with you the Murder of Crows tarot? I have not had a chance to work with it too much yet because I want to edge it. I still haven't edged it, and it's calling out for some color. I'm not sure what color. That's why I'm waiting to try to determine what color to do. But in the meantime, I got another new deck, which is not actually a tarot deck. It's actually an oracle deck, which goes along with it really nicely, I thought. It's called the Urban Crow Oracle. Now, I'm not a big fan of oracle decks. You know that. I have very few. The ones I have, I do like to work with, but I don't collect a lot of oracle decks. They usually don't do much for me. But I love a good oracle deck that will work well with other decks that I have to maybe add a little bit of another level to the reading. But when I saw reviews done on Urban, very few. This deck is not really too widely available yet. You have to buy it off of. I'm not even sure where I got it. I think it's. I think I'm buying it. Pretty much right from the author. I'm not sure, but because it's not. It's not. You can't get it off of Amazon or anything yet. It's not in U.S. Games or anything like that. It's privately done, but the reviews. When I saw people doing some reviews, a few people on this deck, I was really intrigued because it's an oracle deck, but it's an oracle deck that a lot of people think that I've heard that it's something that you can kind of do readings with more than a normal oracle deck. One of the reasons being that it offers both things that are very much in the light and also things that are very much in shadow. It offers good and bad. It's not just an affirming, deck. Everything's good. it, Everything's going to be wonderful. Oh, you're sunshine. You are the sunshine. A lot of oracle decks, that's what we hear. This one is not. This one has a lot more to it. And also, I was intrigued by it because the author, M.J. Cullinane, I guess it is, Margot Jones Cullinane. She is an artist and a writer, and she's very, very in tune with the crows. Very in tune with the crows. And as I am, she just really has had a lot of personal experience with crows. And you can tell by the cards, both by the illustrations of the cards and the keyword that she assigned on each card in the deck. And this little booklet that comes with it offers lovely little, there's some background to it. Uh, There's something personal to Rose. It sort of reminds me of the cat tarot, when I did a review several years ago, a good many years ago now, I did some work with the cat tarot. Look in my playlist, my tarot playlist if you don't remember. But I was intrigued by that. I got it as on a lark. That deck I got on a lark because I was going to do some readings for a fundraiser for a cat rescue group locally. So I thought it would be fun to have a cat deck. And I got the cat tarot. It was recommended to me by um, Arwen Lynch as one of the better animal tarots, one of the better cat animal tarots, which there are many, many, many. But she thought I would like it, and I do. I liked it a lot because it was obviously written by somebody who was very much a cat person who understood cats. And I liked that so much about the deck because the depictions of all the cards, the emotion that went with each of the cards was very much a cat oriented situation or emotion. And that's all I'm going to say about that today. If you are curious, I will give a link to that deck below when I did a review on that deck or did some work with that deck. But this reminded me very much of that this woman, M.J. Cullinane, um, very in tune with crows and the keywords that she gives for each. And you'll see when I'm going to show you a little bit about the deck. But I wanted to show you the deck And again, I think I want to edge it too. So I'm going to be doing some edging because I just think, especially the dark decks, I think they look so nice when we don't see this edge. And this one I particularly didn't like because it's really gray, black, white on the edge. It's not very pretty. Okay, but I'm going to turn the camera around, let you see first of all the cards. And then I thought it might be fun to give it a little test run and do a real quick little reading. Just try to do a general reading. I don't have time to do a lot today, but in this Murder of Crows book that came with that deck, there is a cute little reading at the end. It's offered in the booklet, which is um, based on Counting Crows, the nursery rhyme about counting crows. I don't know if you're familiar. It's a little play on it. The words aren't exactly the same, but she has, and she's using it for a 7-card reading, and she's calling 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for a funeral, 4 for birth, 5 for rich, 6 for poor, 7 for which I can tell you no more, which I thought was cute. And each one has specific, a question that's answering about the cards, about that particular card in that position, 7 cards. And I think I skipped the idea behind the nursery rhyme was supposed to be divination that is dependent on crows gathering. How many crows in the murder? When you see 1 crow, when you see 2 crows, when you see 4 crows, what the meaning is, supposedly. If you look out your window and see 3 on a fence, for instance, there it's three for a funeral, which some people interpret it like somebody's going to die, but other people just say, like in tarot particularly, we're going to say something. There's something we must let go of. We must allow something to die, to not carry it on in our life. So this is kind of a little fun spread I thought I would do. And what I would like to do is I'm going to use the first 4 cards. 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for a funeral, 4 for birth in the Murder of Crows tarot. And then the final 3, which are, it's like clockwork, because and every time it used to be clowns, now it's that alarm. 5 for rich, 6 for poor, 7 for which I can tell you no more. Those final 3, I'm going to say for this Urban Crow Oracle, and I will tell you why. I will tell you why when I lay out the cards for you, because it's really what she has as the key, as the sentiment that goes with each of these positions. So I'm going to just change the candle and camera, and I'm going to try to position so you can see 7 cards really well. Some of them are kind of big, and we'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens. It's just a reading. It's nothing big deal. Not big deal. Okay. Okay. Stay tuned. There we go. This camera gives you a better view of the cards, I think. So, it's, how many are in here? I think there are, oh yeah, 54 cards in this deck, so it's smaller. Nice pictures of the pictures the illustrations are beautiful. Here's the back. And see if isn't that pretty. Whoops, not pretty. There you go. It's very beautiful. And then again, the sides are just, yeah, I don't like them. But I'm going to do something with them. But then we have these beautiful illustrations. I'll hold it up because there's a glare. I always wait till the mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and then I get this glare from this light. But you can see it pretty well. I don't want to show you the whole deck in case you want to get it. I like to keep surprises. But here we have, see, she just has it. One here's survival, because here's we see the fox. And anyway, the keyword is survival. Here's the keyword teamwork. Keyword territory. This is my favorite, the territory, the idea. The crows around here protect their territory, which is my neighborhood. from the hawk that is after our chickens all the time. So I love this one. Upheaval, curiosity, waterproof. That's interesting. That's interesting. And let's look and see what she has to say about the keyword waterproof. This is what I love about this book. I mean, this deck. It has this little tiny book that goes with it, just enough to offer a little paragraph about each, a short paragraph about each card. Waterproof. And she conveniently put them in alphabetical order so that you can find them. Because remember, it's an oracle deck. No major and minor candles, no numbering system, just the keywords. And she says waterproof. Quill feathers have a greasy protective coating that prevents water from getting through to the skin. You too have the ability to create a waterproof exterior. When we are waterproof, we are protected from others' draining emotions that can weigh us down. Being waterproof allows you to experience a storm without letting you hold you back. I love that, don't you? I really love that because this is something that might be something that I identify with very much. The way, I'm I'm an empath. I'm a triple cancer. I'm very influenced by emotion and other people's being an empath. And one of the reasons I wear all these bracelets is to give me perhaps waterproofing myself so that I can identify what is my emotions, not take too much on from other people around me. So that's kind of a really interesting sentiment for me. Let's just look at a few more. Release, soar, self-interest, scavenge, sacred space, sacred space. Let's look at sacred space, what she says about sacred space. Can you see that? That's a beautiful card. There are the eggs, the nest, and the beautiful blossoms on the tree surrounding the nest. Let's see what she says. Okay, sacred space. Maybe, let me hold it up. Maybe your sacred space is your home. Maybe it's the beach or your favorite path in the woods. Sacred space may also point to an inner place, a belief you hold dear. It is the place that brings comfort and nurtures your development. This is your sanctuary. When you receive this card, it is a call to rejuvenate your spirit. It is a time to connect with the healing energy of your sacred space. Okay, that's really a lovely, lovely sentiment. Um, as somebody who's sort of little suspicious of the oracle decks as a rule, might say something like, "Well, that's all well and good, but shouldn't you be in keep your space, have a sacred space that you hold all the time, not just simply now, whatever." What does this have to do with divination? Okay, if we're going to consider this a divination tool at all, like we consider tarot cards a divination tool, if this is going to be a divination tool of sorts, what does that do for us? Well, this is what I say. While I say I love to use an oracle deck in tandem with a tarot deck, I like to use them together. I like to use the oracle deck to give a little more understanding, to open the realm of understanding a little wider about what the reading is giving us to offer. And I want to show you how I do that with this little exercise about the counting crows. The counting crows divination. Okay, I'm going to stop my camera and I'm going to shuffle and deal because I deal out 4 of these, the first 4, and then 3 of these. And I don't want to take the time on camera because they're new decks and I want to really, really get a really good shuffle on them, number 1. And number 2, I have to make sure I can lay them out in a way that they can be seen by the camera. So I'm going to just cut and then I'll be back to when I have the cards dealt. And we'll read. Stay tuned. I've done my best to lay out the cards so that you can see them all. I realize that they're a little bit cut off here, because my framing is not quite large enough for the size of the cards I have, but I'll hold them up so that you can see them when we go to talk about each card to get a better chance of what we're saying. In this kind of a reading, it's not that important what cards are playing off each other. Like in a lot of my readings, if you've seen me do some of my other readings, you know that position makes a lot of difference to me, and balance in the reading, etc. In the position, who's looking at who's neighbor. I'm not going to do that this time. This is just a very simple, straightforward, very quick read on energies. Um, Also, I want to point out before we go any further that I'm very well aware that there are different words attributed to this nursery rhyme called Counting Crows, and you might be familiar with a different version. I was too until before I saw this suggested spread. But remember, this is something the rhyme itself was adapted for use with this tarot deck. So that being said, we're not that doesn't have anything to do with the reading that we're going to do. The reason for this video is to show you, I want to show you how we can sort of have these cards play a little bit play together, which is kind of an interesting thing to do. You can do the same kind of an exercise with another kind of a deck. It doesn't have to be a crow deck. The same kind of putting the cards together. I wanted to just give you a brief idea of how one way to put cards together. Many different ways to put them together, which if you go in my tarot playlist, you might see some other ways. Okay, so anyway, these first four cards, this is card 1, card 2, card 3, and card 4, represented in the Murder of Crows Tarot. Those are for the first 4 lines in the rhyme. 1 is for sorrow, 2 is for mirth, 3 for a funeral, and 4 for a birth. Okay, we'll talk about what that means when we talk about each card. Then the last 3 cards, 5, 6, and 7, representing the last 3 lines of the rhyme in the Urban Crow Oracle deck. We have card 5 is for the rich. This is 5 is for the rich, 6 is for the poor, and 7 for a witch. I can tell you no more. Okay, there we go. Now let's just look at each card and how we look at it. Now, if you saw if I go a little further, I want to say, if you saw the video I did before using the Murder of Crows Tarot, I want to point out that it does not really give reverse meanings in the deck. I don't normally read reversals either. Sometimes I do, and the last time I was reading from this deck, I paid attention to reversals because this deck is very much in the shadow. And I thought sometimes it is appropriate to read the cards. I do that also with Deviant Moon. I might pay attention to reversals a little more in there. Just depends. It depends on the position of the card in the reading and what card I get for the reading. Like if it's a very negative position and it's a very positive card, I would want to look at shadow. Now, shadow can mean a lot of different things, not necessarily opposites, and I will tell you what I mean when I get to that in this reading. What I thought it might be. Okay, so anyway, we have the first card here. 1 is for sorrow. 1 is for sorrow, and this card represents the challenges I face, or a particular challenge, let's say, that I face. This is the King of Wands. The King of Wands. And this is interesting because this is a challenge card. And this is the King of Wands, which is, relatively a positive card. But this is talking about the greatest leaders. It mentions here that the greatest leaders know how to activate others to carry out their will, to activate others. And this is kind of interesting because this is something that is sort of a very appropriate for a shadowy kind of a card for me, because I am somebody who has ideas all the time and gets very enthusiastic about all kinds of things. And I spend a lot of time trying to get people trying to get people to go along with me and participate with me, or get on the wagon, so to speak, with me, or you know, including my husband. I'm always trying to motivate him to do things, and or friends, always trying to motivate them to do one thing or another. I'm one of those really creative persons who's always trying to do that, and I get a lot of resistance sometimes, and I have trouble taking no for an answer a lot of times. I have in the past anyway. So this is kind of interesting that this is a challenge. This whole idea of motivating other people. Again, I don't want to put that down too much. I'm talking about it because if this is a challenge that, well, first of all, I'm getting tired. I'm just tired of having to do that all the time. I don't want to motivate others to do what I want them to do or what I want. I want to just focus on what I want. And I think I've said that a few other times recently, um, here on another video. I'm not sure of the subject, but you've heard that sentiment come from me that I've reached a point in my life for whatever reason that I want to do for me. I want to do for me. I'm not that interested in doing for others right now, doing for groups of people, um, giving service to people. I want to make myself happy right now. And part of that also might be coming out of this isolation that we're having with, this pandemic that's been going on. Um, I've, I, I've got me. Of course, I've got my husband, but it's really on me. The things that I want to do, I've come to realize that I might have done differently in my life had I spent more focus on accomplishing what I wanted rather than trying to get other people to go along with me in some of these little schemes or whatever that I had. So this is really a pretty important card in coming up at this time for me. So I thought that was really relevant. The second card, this is for mirth, and this is again interesting because this is a card. This is ten of wands, and in this deck, he's carrying the load of another crow on his back through a very tangled, a lot of roots and things, a bad terrain, a difficult terrain. And it talks about, do journeys ever end? Um, you found what you were looking for, but you must carry it, and now you are crushed by its weight. You wish to let it go and stride unencumbered, but what will it all have been for if you just let it go? And it tells you to summon the strength and carry on. Well, interestingly, this card is one that showed up for me in reversal. It was in reverse. And what I mean by that, it was sailed out this way. Now, of course, normally I don't pay much heed because I just, the way I shuffle and the way I handle cards and put them down and pick them up, etc., and never reorder them or never turn them. Um, it, I get a lot of reversals, and I just ignore that. But in this case, since this is supposed to be something that I can gain if I face this, if I'm facing this fact that I'm always carrying this load around that I think I have to carry, and it is keeping me from walking easily to where I want to go. Maybe that the obstacle that I'm facing is that I do have to drop it. Maybe that is what this card is saying to me. Maybe I do have to drop it. All of the burdens that were coming here, trying to have all these people. Let me put that down here so you can see. All of the people coming from this card that I was trying to motivate or help or carry or take along with me have become a burden, and it's time for me to let that go. It's time for me right now to just let that go and just walk on unencumbered. Walk on without that burden that I think I have to carry. Nobody's ever told me I had to carry that. I just do. That's just what I do. So that was kind of interesting. I don't want to spend a long time on this or get too personal because I just want to show you how I want to make sure I have enough time to get to these last cards. The card number 3 is three for a funeral. 3 for a funeral. I think you can see that pretty well where it is. And this is the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles. This is something that I have to let go of. Well, isn't that interesting? Because this is that absolutely new, some kind of a new project, a new something new coming into my uh, life. Is it another new project? Is something else? Another new burden? Another new person? Another new, I don't know what. Another job. I don't have jobs in the material sense anymore that I used to have. But yeah, I have a lot of jobs that I take on. Um, this is something interesting because the card here talks about you have the foundation for the life you will build. You have it, and it is telling you to go ahead and plant the seed. Plant the seed, okay? But this is like, and it will grow. Well, this is something I have to let go of. So maybe I'm planting too many seeds. Or maybe I'm waiting too long to plant the seeds. Maybe I'm doing all the planting, getting my soil ready, getting everything ready to go. But when it comes time to putting them in the ground and just letting it grow, maybe I'm holding off on that because maybe I have too many. Maybe I need to narrow it down a little bit. Okay? Remember, the position makes such a big difference to how we read the card. This is something I need to let go of. Okay? Whatever this is, some new thing, I've got to let go of it. Focus on what I have. Plant what I have. Pay attention. I kind of do this. This is kind of, it's kind of it reminds me of my yesterday. I spent yesterday in under the grow lights with my seedlings. I had started tomato plants for the summer garden coming up. I like to grow them inside for a while until they're ready to grow out about mid or late, between mid to late March. I like to get a really nice healthy plant out into the garden. Um, so we're there growing under grow lights, and I planted seeds, and in every little cell thing I started with about 3 or 4 seeds in there, just to make sure that they would come up. And some of these plants that, some of the plants, I think I had 100, the tomatoes at least, and some of the other things that I have started. I got 100% germination on these things. So I was in there yesterday with little scissors, snipping away, trying to thin out those plants. Perfectly good little seedlings that I'm very tempted to keep. But if I keep all of those little seedlings, they won't get enough nutrition and they will die. They'll be too crowded in the space. I also have, how many different, I maybe planted 3 of one kind, like I don't know how many different kinds of just tomato plants I have. I have maybe 3 or 4 paste kind of tomatoes, maybe 3 or 4 heirloom kind of tomatoes, maybe 3 or 4, um, cherry tomatoes kinds. That's a lot of tomato plants for a little garden. Am I trying to grow again too many things? Focus on what you need. Focus on what you want. Don't keep planting seeds just one after another. It was time for me to thin those out. Only take the ones that I really can use. And make sure they're planted well and make sure they're tended well so that they grow. And finally, number 4 out of this, 4 of the Murder of Crows Tarot is for a birth. This is something that is new entering my life. And oh, look, the 3 of Swords. Oh, well, we don't ever want to see that, except remember what I said about reversals. Well, this card was also reversed. And this is kind of interesting because the 3 of Swords also in this deck, this is what the author has to say. The author says that the blades that pierce the heart, from many angles, the pain throbs in the body, it throbs in the emotions, it throbs in the memory. And memory is what takes the longest to heal. Sometimes the pain lingers long after the scar heals. And boy, isn't that something? That's what we're going through right now, isn't it? All these thoughts coming up, using all this time, where all these thoughts coming up and I'm dwelling about the pain of past hurts, past transgressions, past things where we just need to go on. Okay. What is new that's hitting my life? It is going to be, this is a reversal. This is a reversal. This was in reverse again. It was like that when I doubted. So is it going to be new scars entering my life? New hurt entering my life? I don't think so. That's not the way I'm looking at it. I think what it's looking at it is the way I look at the card instead of looking at the card this way. I need to look at the card this way. And I need to say, this is the way it was dealt to me. It is the memory of that is hurting me right now. And that is, I'm carrying that hurt of memories of past scars, of past mistakes that I made with me long after the event has happened. People can't even remember what the event is. I'm still carrying some of those scars, and it's time for me to let them go. It's just time for me to let them go and move on. Okay. I hope that's clear. That it's not that important, but I just want to show you that's just one way of looking at a reversal. When it's in a position, something new in your life, that's a positive thing, really. You could say it was a new pain. I don't see it as a new pain. None of the other cards indicate that I'm going to have a new pain, some new horrible thing happening, and I just don't see it that way. Okay? Remembering, too, that this is also the Three of Pentacles is a minor arcana card. If it's a hurt, is a new little hurt. It's a little hurt. It's not life-changing. It's not major arcana. It is not a life-altering experience. It is a little transgression of some kind. And if I'm going to have a little new hurt come into my life, then the card would mean, remember that this is going to hurt more in your memory than it's going to hurt right now in your body or your heart. It hurts a little bit. But if you just forget about it and go through it, it's not going to be so painful. But if you dwell on it for a long time, it's going to linger with you for a long time. Okay, that's another way of reading the exact same card. So you see, however you look at it, I'm getting the same result. I think I'm getting the same result in the end. Okay, now we have these final three. I'm going to move them up a little bit so you can see this in the thing. And I've gotten, in the final three positions, card 5 is the rich. It is 5 for rich, which are resources that can help me. And here it is, the card of direction. The card of direction. And it's interesting. It talks about that you can watch the crows when they're, especially here, I watch them all the time. And when they're getting together and they fly, any kind of a bird really, when they get together and they fly, they get in their bird, or in this case, it's in their group with the others in their flock, in their group. And sometimes they fly in formation. You see that all the time. We see that all the time here. The gulls do it. The seagulls do it. Flying, getting ready to go where they're going to roost at night when it's time. Okay. When that happens, they can't be distracted. That's the point. When they're going where they mean to be going, when they know where they're going, they are not distracted. And it tells me that when I know where I am going, it is easier to stay on the path. Direction brings clarity and creates a road trip to success. Stay on my path. Know where it is that I'm going before I go. Before I take that step, know where I'm going. Not focusing in here on what I'm carrying and the burden of it, but where I'm going to go. Where I'm going at all, where I'm going in the first place. Okay? This is something that can help me, knowing where I'm going. Interestingly, what came with it is the resistance card for the poor. This is something working against me, is resistance. And here we see the wind. And I love this card because if you've ever seen my witch's runes, I have the wind symbol drawn on one of my runes as these swirlies that we see here on the card, which is so cool. This is, the birds are flying, the crows are flying with the wind current, and all of a sudden the wind comes at them and nearly knocks them off course, right? But they're not, it doesn't affect them. They stay on course, and they have the ability to find a path with the least resistance. They have ability to avoid those curves. They go with the wind. They duck around the current, right, of the air. And it says the same thing for me. You may have a strong wind coming your way. You have the ability to find a path with the least resistance. Just like that crow finds his balance and keeps on going, you need to do the same thing. It might mean by letting go of what you're carrying. paying attention to where you're going and keeping in balance, right? Keeping in balance. And finally, we have trickery. This is the final card. This is for the witch. 7 for the witch. I can tell you no more. This is a key action which would bring about, which what's the outcome? Hopefully, the outcome of this. What do I need to do? What do I need to do here? And the card is trickery. Oh, I love that. It's trickery. It talks a little bit in the book about how a card, let's see what it says. Let me see if I can find what it says in the book real quick. I like the way she wrote this. Trickery. Crows, excuse me. Crows are known for stealing another bird's stash, then hiding it, covering up with leaves to throw off its tracks. Okay. Similar in energy to the Seven of Swords, trickery brings your attention that someone may be trying to trick you or deceive you, but it also might mean that your situation could be benefited from allowing some kind of a new way of thinking or some kind of creative thinking. A little deception for the sake of the greater good might be warranted. Okay. Well, I thought this was really cool because, I have a tendency, just like I have a tendency to try to bring along everybody for the ride when I'm trying to do something. I always lay my cards on the table. I usually tell people from up front what my plans are, what I want to do, etc. And unfortunately for me, sometimes I get too many things to do, and I'm often burdened by carrying around too much of a load, and I don't get to where I want to go in a timely fashion. And I can tell you more than one time, somebody else has stepped in and followed my lead and done what my goal was. They've taken that goal for themselves. And I've kind of been undermined a little bit like that. And I've had this feeling lately that I want to really try to keep things close at home, close to my chest, so to speak, so that that I'm protected against people trying to take something that I've been working towards. And so as a result, I've been a little vague about some of my actions, but some of my ideas, some of my projects, because I don't want other people to take them for their own. So that was kind of interesting that came up. I want to say, just like some people said, this was the exercise that I just want to put at the very last minute. I want to pick these 4 up because I thought that was kind of an interesting read. But I want to say that some people say you can read these regardless because of the way this deck the keywords represent so many aspects of life, both positive and negative, that you can almost read them as a little mini divination on its own without putting it with other things. It's easier read than a lot of other oracle cards. And if we look at them just as the keywords that it says and try to make that into some kind of a thought, we can see that these pretty much really work together in this way. That we saw the direction, resistance, and trickery. Okay, how do those 3 work together? I like to remember what I was saying earlier about the direction when crows have in their mind where they want to go, when they know where they want to go, where they're going to go roost. Nothing is going to divert their attention. And just like their ability to focus on the direction they're going, the destiny that they're going to, they also are able to divert forces coming up against them when wind tries to knock them off the place or whatever. But the forces of wind, can be very strong. So they're avoiding whatever might come at them. They avoid it by getting their balance, riding out that little current a little bit, ducking down. You see birds fly like that all the time, avoiding the current that might be going against them. Okay? So these are things in that focus leading them to an outcome that here we say trickery, also keeping in mind not to share everything with other people, not to share everything. They're not going to they're not going to stop and tell everybody else where they're going. They're not going to try to take other people with them. Each one of them is very focused on getting to where they're going. Okay. And this is very applicable to my situation. It was in the reading, you could see that. But you could also see that without the other four cards that I chose, these three might very well serve to tell me pretty much the same thing. I don't get as much detail. I got a little bit of detail, more detail when I had the other four. Got a little more detail. But here, it's a very nice short little oracle. Okay. So anyway, I just thought that would be interesting. I'm going to do a little more work with these oracle cards, reading them on their own as well as reading them in combination. But I'm going to do before I do any too much reading. I'm going to I'm going to get these cards edged. I really want to edge them. Okay. Okay, that was kind of fun, wasn't it? I thought that was really fun. I hope that helped you with get an idea maybe for putting together tarot cards and oracle cards. If you have those, if you don't, I'm not telling you you need them. And please don't feel obliged to go and try to find the stacks just because I have them. If, I think this deck will become more available in time. It's available now, but uh, just like the Murder of Crows, um, we had a little. I didn't get them during the normal ways, the normal paths that I get them. So, but that, of course, that was a little while ago. We'll see what happens. It changes all the time. It changes all the time. But anyway, I don't know if you ever combine tarot and oracle. I'd love to know about it. That'd be fun to know about it. Anyway, that was just a fun little exercise. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.